All right, here we go. All right, peace and blessings. First of all, let me just say salute to this gentleman who joined the interview, and this is a person who's a major influence on me. I never even heard the name Allah until I heard the music that he put out with Brand Nubian, and I'm honored and extremely blessed and extremely grateful and appreciative to have an opportunity to talk to you, my brother. What's going on with you, Lord Jamar?
Peace. How you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. So as I was talking about before, we doing this book called The Islamic Orders of Hip Hop, and I wanted to use that as an opportunity to discuss the impact of Islam on hip hop. But I also wanted to talk about it in the sense of when you say the word orders in Islam, Sufis use the word tariqa, which means you got like different groups with different interpretations of what it is. So I thought
Hmm,
that'd be interesting too to hear what the gods believe, hear what Nation of Islam believe, hear what the Ansar believe, this group, that group, and just see the
hmm.
differences in their beliefs, but also see the similarities in the love they have for Islam and the love they all have for Black people.
True.
All right, so I want to start this interview off with the same question I ask everybody. First question is always to you: what is Islam?
What is Islam? Well, we teach in the 5% Nation that Islam is your true way of life. It's the natural. It's a label for what you would call the natural way of life for the Black man, woman, and child. Um, yeah, it's just going according to nature. You know, that's how I see Islam.
Right, right.
Um, it's not necessarily, some people would say it has to do with rituals and there's different, like you said, sects or you know understandings of what Islam is.
Hmm.
But basically Islam is one's way of life. And our way of life is I, self, Lord, and Master. That's another way that the gods break down Islam. I, self, am the Lord and Master. um and for some Muslims that's blasphemous, but
Right.
that's given us the power to take ourselves out of certain situations and power ourselves with that godly vibration.
Gotcha. It's interesting that you mentioned that too, because I'm a Sunni Muslim now, but before I took my Shahada, I always felt like in Islam it'd be an open market of ideas. Everybody could kind of just meet and build and share their knowledge. And a lot of times it's not like that. A lot of times people do feel like this is what we believe is right, and what y'all believe is wrong.
Absolutely.
Have you ever
And
had? Yeah, go ahead.
that's within every sect, every order.
Mhm.
You know, the Father Allah, he was inside the Nation of Islam, and he ended up having an understanding that was contrary to what they were teaching at the time. And so they were like, listen,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you either build on what we talking about or you got to go, you
Right,
know.
right.
And so he chose to leave. you know I myself am even experiencing certain things with people in the 5% Nation who
Right.
are stuck on dogma, you know and feel like, oh, that's not what they taught back then, and this and that and that. Listen,
Right, right.
understanding is the best part, is what we teach, and everybody's understanding is not going to be the same, and I don't think it should be.
Right. Gotcha, gotcha. Now I want to go back to when you was talking about the father leaving the Nation of Islam. I read a
Mm,
little bit of something about it, but I'm not in either one, so there's always gonna be some details I don't get. And I do remember
mm,
reading that there was a situation where the father was building. I think they say he
mm-hmm.
was building on what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquake. And he said something in that bill, and it was like, "Nah, you're not teaching what we teaching. You gotta go." Do you know what it was exactly that made it so they felt that he had to be excommunicated?
Well, basically, they were teaching that Master Farrar Muhammad was God, was Allah. Now they would say things like the black man was God, but they wasn't necessarily saying like the black man was Allah. Like Allah came to the understanding, like, hang on, it's not just Master Farrar Muhammad. Like, we all are God. We all are Allah. You know what I mean? You can't spell Allah without spelling all.
Mhm.
So that was the contention when he started saying basically that Master Farrar Muhammad was no higher than any of us. You understand what
Wow.
I'm saying?
Right, right,
He
right.
was, we are all have that same equality, you know.
Gotcha. So I think Dr. Wesley Muhammad in his book, I think it was Chariot of Black Gods, he used the phrase the democratization of divinity. Like it's a democracy,
Mm,
like we all are on the same level.
yeah, I could see that.
Now tell us about
Because we are.
yeah, break it down. So
No,
so
I was just
so
gonna say we are.
tell me about your journey into Islam. When did you become a member of the 5% Nation?
Mm. Well, for me, it came in stages.
Okay.
Um, I was first introduced. Well, first of all, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness, still is to this very day, right?
Hmm.
So I was brought up in that science culture, whatever you want to call it.
I was a Jehovah's Witness too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's it.
when I was like 14, I was raised in a Pentecostal household since I was a little kid. And then a friend of mine started studying with them and he like got me to start reading and questioning and I became a Jehovah's Witness. I got baptized and everything.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. By that time, I was getting away from it and all that. But when I was young, she used to make us go, and I'm not gonna lie, that put a certain type of discipline, when you can't celebrate Christmas and all of these holidays, Halloween and all of this type of shit,
Hmm.
it could scar a child in a way, but at the same time, later on, you could kind of like appreciate it in a way.
Right.
Like once you realize all that was some bullshit anyway, you're like, well, I never fucking celebrate that shit anyway. So
Right.
that's one thing that they did have it kind of right when it came to Jehovah's Witness. But anyway, but being around that and just like hearing about the Bible and reading the Bible, in my mind, I'm like, this don't sound right that these people would be white. You know what I mean? Like even back then as a child, it didn't set right with me. It just felt like these people should be original people. And I'm telling you, I'm a child just thinking this as something logical. It
Right.
was just logical to me. Like, hang on, you over there, it's mad hot over there. How would they be white? Like, I feel like they can at least be brown like me.
Hmm.
So anyway, I remember I'm about 13 around this time, maybe 12, 13 around this time. And I'm at my man Buck's crib. And his grandfather was a Hebrew Israelite.
Okay.
Right? And I never heard of no Hebrew Israelites or nothing, but that's what he was. And he had a book, and inside this book, it was showing like old depictions. Like, you know how the Russians just revealed all those pictures of the Black Jesus, and he was showing us pictures of like Black Jesus and shit like that, like
Right.
old shit. Like, look, this is what he really looks like. They've been hiding from us. And I was just like, wow, like something in my mind. I was like, I knew it. Like, I knew it. And so that was the first thing that kind of like opened my, you know what I mean? Opened my eyes towards, that type of knowledge. Then maybe a little bit of time passes, maybe let's say a year, maybe a year. Now I'm around 14 and used to hang out in the New Rochelle Mall. It used to be a place to, the malls was a place to hang out back in the days.
Yeah, back in
and
the
so
day.
there was this guard that started working there by the name of Ba Kim, right?
Mhm.
And Ba Kim, it's crazy. He was a guard, but he just was coming home from up north or something. I don't know how he got a job as a security guard.
He must be connected or something.
Yeah, he was, because one of the guys that ran the shit, he was in the Nation of Islam or whatever.
Gotcha.
Kim was, he boxed, he was muscular, so, maybe he got the hook up like that. But anyway, Kim was like, he was God body, but there was no gods really in New Rochelle at that time.
Mhm.
So he kind of was in the Nation of Islam, So he used to be diligently like striving to do his duty as far as like civilized or uncivilized, and he would see certain ones of us in the community that he felt like was the leaders, you know what I mean? And he would go after us, you know, as far as, yo, did you know the black man's God and the white man's the devil? Like, you know what I mean? You shouldn't eat no pork and you know, to where it got to the point where you'd almost be like, oh shit, here comes Bakim. He's gonna be talking that shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of, you know, I want to talk to these broads right now. He gonna hold me in a 45-minute conversation every time he see me, you know, and now he start giving you book. When I see you, I don't have a book for you. Damn near the next time you see you, he would have that book.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he start giving me message to the black man, supreme wisdom, you know, yeah, our savior has arrived, all those type of books. And
no, I didn't know, not to cut you off, I didn't know that they could give the supreme wisdom to like non-members, because I know that our savior has arrived, message to the black man, you could buy that in the hood bookstore, but I've never been able to find none of the lessons like in a book nowhere.
Well, hang on. Maybe I got supreme wisdom later. Maybe I'm throwing supreme wisdom in. Don't quote me. But I know definitely message to the black man and probably our savior has arrived.
All right, gotcha.
And so I'm really interested. And so now he takes me, we live in Nur Shell, and he takes me to the mosque in Brooklyn.
Okay.
There was a mosque on Utica Avenue back then. So we go to the mosque in Brooklyn. And on that particular day, this was back in the 80s, on that particular day, the whole mosque was going out to Long Island to like a college because Jesse Jackson was running for president, and you know Farrakhan was backing him at that time.
Gotcha.
And so on that particular day, I just happened to, I'm rolling out now with a bunch of Nation of Islam dudes out to Long Island to watch Jesse Jackson give a speech and all this type of shit. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So after that, we came back to the mosque and they had some kind of service and all of that type of shit. And I'm just looking at, you know, people got suits on and, you know, they keep passing a collection plate around, you know, and I'm young and, you know, I'm into hip hop. I don't want to put on a suit and all of that. Like, I want this knowledge, but, you know, and I don't have money to just be giving every week, and you know, and I'm not gonna be, you know, selling bean pies, and so in my mind it was like, damn, I like this knowledge, but I'm not ready to take that step. This is a little too religious. I'm trying to get away from religion, you know what I mean? Like, and this feels too religious to me, but love the tenets, you know what I mean? And now I'm holding on to that. So now, boom, maybe another year passed, maybe. Now a brother named True King Allah, who's in the 5% Nation, he moves to Nur Shell from Hollis, Queens, okay? And he's into hip hop and, you know what I mean? He rhymes and DJs and, you know what I mean? So we come together on that. And now he's trying to teach me certain shit. Yo, you know about Yaku? And I'm like, yeah, I know about Yaku. I'm you know what I mean? Like, he's like, wow, you know a lot of shit already. Like, you might as well just get knowledge yourself. You know what I mean? And, you know, and I'm like, I've seen the gods and all of that type of shit. And I'm like, yeah, that seemed like something more my speed. Like, you know what I mean? You can have knowledge, but you still could be basically, you still could be a street dude or whatever. Yeah. Like, so he ended up being my enlightener, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, hip hop and knowledge all kind of coincided in that moment. And I was, you know, I was hooked from.
Gotcha. Now, it's interesting you brought up a point about the gods could like have knowledge itself but still be a street dude. Why do you think it is that the father decided that he wanted to take the knowledge, but he didn't want to take the restrictive laws?
Because I believe that he realized it would be easier to proliferate that way. Like a lot of these young dudes, you know, they're coming from zero discipline. So to to thrust, extreme discipline on them from going to no discipline is a little much. You know what I mean?
Right. True.
You got to ease them into it. The gods would say, listen, you gotta have milk before you have steak. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the discipline you would have in a 5% nation was, you better had known your lessons. You better not be eating no pork.
Mm-hmm.
And but that was it, kind of like, you know what I mean? As long as you did those two things, you was good. You know what I mean? But if you didn't know your lessons, you was getting what's called the universal justice, universal beatdown. Like, it was serious.
That don't sound like no damn fun.
Listen, that was the discipline part of it. Like, you know what I mean? That was the discipline. So some people act like, oh, the 5% nation didn't have no. Some discipline. It just wasn't to the level of discipline that you find in the Nation of Islam, because the Nation of Islam, has more men, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? It was an organization of grown men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So these guys have suits and, they talk a certain way and, and plus with the knowledge. And for some people that was in the 5% nation, in their minds, they graduated, to that later on. I know a few of the guys that I used to run with ended up going to the Nation of Islam later. Like, they needed that type of structure. I just always felt like a more self-motivated type of person where, I still have this knowledge, but I don't necessarily need to be, I don't need all of those affiliations, because some people just, they need the camaraderie, the community of it, and that's what it is for a lot of people.
Gotcha. I heard you say once in a song, can't remember the name of the song, but there was a lyric in the hook where you said, if it wasn't for the gods, this hip-hop thing probably would be going on. Did the gods start hip-hop? Did it come from them or come from you?
I'm not going to say that we started hip-hop, but we was part of the start of hip-hop.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when it started, we was just front and center. Like, the gods, the gods, when you was God back then, like, these are not the betas and these are the alphas of the community. Like, you know what I mean? So if something's going on, we was always going to be front and center. Like, you know what I mean? Whether you knew God or not. You know what I mean? So they talk about the b-boy stance and all of that, but that's the gods standing in their truth for square. A lot of gods, some of the gods used to run security at these jams, at these park jams. And so you see brothers standing there like that, and you think, oh, he's standing in a b-boy stance. Nah, he's standing in his truth for square. That's the gods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? And I feel like through hip-hop history, a lot of your favorite MCs and all of that was either God or around the gods and influenced by the gods. And I feel like a reason why we were able to excel in this medium is because we were used to memorizing words.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All the lessons.
We're memorizing these lessons, and we're saying them in a certain type of cadence. First of all, being in a cipher is something that we started. They call them rhyme ciphers now. But back then, cipher was something you'd be outside and you see the gods happen. And that's everybody going around saying their lessons. How you see today's math and all of that. Matter of fact, today's math is God.
Yeah.
We started this interview at the God hour. Just let the record reflect. Being able to memorize words and say them in a rhythmic type of, pattern is why I feel like a lot of the gods ended up being just rising to the top in this hip hop shit.
Yeah, and not only say it in a rhythmic pattern, but say it with power. Cause I see the brothers break down
Power,
the lesson.
right?
They say it was so much power. I'm like,
And
whoa,
confidence.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because you couldn't be out there saying your lessons all scared, like you wasn't sure. You better be 1,000% sure.
right, exactly. Do you recall when was the first time you saw the cipher get integrated and become a hip hop thing? People started rhyming in the ciphers. Do you remember seeing that for the first time?
Well, people were rhyming. People. First of all, it's not like the gods would be building and then all of a sudden that turns into a rhyme cipher. Like
right.
that was some serious shit. Like if
Right.
motherfuckers started rhyming inside there, you might get your ass whooped. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's not the time for that. Like we building right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when it came to like rapping, like, yeah, it might be two dudes rapping, right? But there might be a circle of people who's listening to these two dudes. So it looks like a cipher kind of, but it's not that every single person there is rhyming. You see what I'm saying? Like I met Sadat X in one of those type of ciphers back in the days by the public library. People used to hang out by the library back in the days. And you know, I see a group of people and it looks like they rhyming and I run up on this shit like, you know what I mean? Any hip hop was going down back then, I wanted in.
Right.
So it was, who the fuck are these kids that I don't necessarily know over here rhyming and shit? And yeah, that's the first time I ever heard fucking Sadat X or Derek X at the time rhyme and shit. And yeah, and he was dope. He let me know that there was other people in my city that, you know, that had some shit. Because up to that point, I didn't think anybody was on my level that was my age. You know what I mean? Around my age, because Pooh Bah's a little bit older, but I didn't think anybody around my age was really fucking around like that.
Right.
You know? So yeah, later on though, people just started calling it a cipher. Like, oh, look, they're having a rhyme cipher.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and these were, you know, maybe one of the gods said it and then an 85 heard them say it and now they're repeating what they said. But somehow that shit started to spread like wildfire. And now I bet you most people, if you say a cipher, yo, they're having a cipher, they're going to definitely believe that it's something about rapping instead of a circle where we, you know, transmit information, you know, knowledge of self type shit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because that was a word that was a term that was used by the gods. Then like people outside of that started utilizing it. Do you feel like a sense of possessiveness? Like y'all using our slang? Like what?
Yes, I do. Like even when they spell it wrong, sometimes you'll see CYPHER. No, we spell it CIPHER. And it bothers me when I see it with the Y. Like, see, I'm like, spell this shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know? Like,
yeah.
Fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. Or like at one point in time in hip hop, it was like fashionable for dudes to start calling themselves God. And then you look into their background and they'd be like Christian. They wouldn't even be 5%ers or nothing.
Right. But they're just saying it in the rhyme. Yeah, God. And you know what I mean? That's what's up, God. Like, yo. And see, back then, you know, there was a time when you couldn't do that.
Right.
You couldn't do that. You couldn't fake it. You know what I mean? Like, because that would be like some Bloods and Crips type of shit. The same way they was like, you know, what set you claim? You know, it would be like, peace, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who you? Who's your enlightener?
Yeah,
how you see that? You know what I mean? And you can't fake that.
Right.
If you don't know, and you out here trying to pretend and be a jive pretender, that was bad.
Yeah. It was like that scene in that Wu-Tang saga where Just Ice approached the RZA like, what's today's math, God? And RZA had to recite it and break it down.
You know what's funny about that particular scene? Just Ice is my man, and Just Ice said that never happened.
Yeah, I seen that interview too. That interview.
He said that. No, I think he said he never even met RZA or some shit like that. Whatever.
That's funny. So then after a while, seeing hip hop in the streets, you seeing it move, you started seeing hip hop go to the industry. What was that like for Gods to all of a sudden go from straight in the streets, now y'all in the industry? Like, what kind of situation did you find yourself in? What's the obstacles that y'all had to deal with? Because y'all dropping heavy knowledge and calling the white man the devil all at the same time. There had to be some kind of resistance.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like in the beginning, they weren't even fully hearing what we were saying.
Right.
They just were happy to be in the business of hip hop. You know, this is when the major labels realized that hip hop was a moneymaker, that it wasn't going nowhere. And now major labels wanted to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna lie, we was making these records at first, and I'm just like, did I not hear what the fuck we said? What the fuck we said? But then it was like, fuck it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like shit, this is what we about. And hey, it's a record company. We got the freedom of speech, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that, you know, I can't lie. And I am very big on freedom of speech. We could talk all the shit we want about America, but we were able to do that, make money, not get killed and all of that type of shit by the government when we said it and all of that type of shit. Now, did they keep our career down, you know, subversively? Probably. You know, certain opportunities I'm sure didn't come our way because of our, you know, political stance on a lot of things. But at the same time, we were still able to, you know, have a career and make an impact in this world with righteous music. You know, some of the things we'd encounter is, you know, letting these motherfuckers know, keep that swine out of my sight. Don't bring no swine around. If we have some sort of video or some shit, there better not even be swine for y'all on it. Like this is a no swine set.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, shit like that. Like putting our foot down for shit like that. Like nobody ever like told us what to rap about or not to rap about. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I could say, because the way we was moving, they was kind of nervous of us and all of that. They was, again, they was just happy to be in the business of hip hop. But later on, you know, when they realized, wait a minute, we could make groups that are strictly about you know, promoting the trauma of the Black community, like the NWAs and that type of shit. Once they realized that was some shit that they could really sell, that's when it was like, oh, fuck these dudes calling us the devil and shit like that. Like, we're gonna get rid of all of those type of dudes, man. Them getting ready to be out of here.
Right.
That's what I think happened.
Damn. So I know y'all had to get some pushback. Y'all, was it the wake up video where you had the white man with the horns?
Yes, that might have been one of the first times that the people at the record company started to realize what even was going on.
Right.
Because we had a representation of the devil. It was a black man with white face. Okay, painted white face, blonde hair, wig, horns coming out, with a white fucking suit, a business suit, and just showing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the white man's the devil / but it comes from the black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Yakub is the creator. And so we did that video with that type of imagery. And when MTV got it, now keep in mind, Fab Five Freddy directed the video and he worked at MTV and all of this type of shit. Okay. So we're thinking it's a cinch. We're definitely gonna be on MTV. But then MTV's like, nah, we're not gonna play that if you have that representation of the white man, you know what I mean, with that black guy with the, you know, of the devil, basically. And so we was like, in our minds, we was like, well, then fuck y'all, don't play it. Like, you know, we're not changing the shit for y'all. But that was one of the first times when we realized, like, okay, these motherfuckers paid for the video and they gonna do what the fuck they want to do.
Mhm.
And so the label, despite that we said don't change it, they changed it anyway, and they cut that part out. And so now you'd be hard to even find that original version online.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but you might could find it somewhere.
That's interesting. And I think there was some other controversy with that song too, because the wake up version with the smooth one, the soulful one, you produced that. But there was other producers on the other version.
Well,
right?
I didn't hold up. I didn't produce that. That was kind of a joint production in a way.
Okay.
Or what I did was me and my man Sincere, we found the Ray Goodman and Brown sample. The do 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 do. And because Puba had did a version with the white boys, Dante Ross and the Stimulated Dummies.
Okay.
And I was like, absolutely not. I said, we are not gonna have that song is not gonna have white people, you know, as the music, the foundation for it. Absolutely not.
And it don't even have the same vibe to it. It don't have the same soul to it. But not dissing nobody, but
right. So I made sure that I found that shit right there, brought it to Pooh Bah, like, yo, listen to this, say that rhyme over this beat right here. And when he saw it, he go, oh shit. So we gave him the record. I wasn't even there for when they actually sampled it and all of that type of shit. Okay. And then the next time I heard it, it had that Ray Goodman and Brown mixed with the fucking Roy Ayers with the Sunshine.
Right.
And that's like, oh my God. Like, that's when it became a masterpiece. And I was just like, I'm so glad that we fucking forced the issue on that shit.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. So I don't want to take credit as the producer of it. I believe, but I'll take credit as one of the producers. I believe Jazzy J was also a producer, as well as Grand Puba.
Okay, that's what's up. And that song is a classic. That shit is brilliant. I wanted to ask you about when Grand Puba temporarily left. That changed the vibe of the group in a lot of ways. Sonically, what ways do you feel like it changed the sound of Brand Nubian?
Well, once he was gone, I had the control of the reins. And in my mind, you know, I was a big Public Enemy.
Right.
Fucking, you know, Eric B and Rakim. Like my whole shit was just a little more militant, a little more, you know, I felt like, and I loved the first album, but I just felt like it you know, if I would have had my way, it would have been a little more darker, a little, you know, like, but it ended up being the perfect balance. You see what I'm saying? It was the perfect balance. But I just knew that I wanted to take it in a direction that was just a little more serious. Maybe the first side is a little darker, the second side is lighter, you know. That's kind of what I was going for, and shit, the knowledge side and the wisdom side. Yeah. And so I just had a vision of what I felt, because, you know, a lot of people, especially later on, conscious music started to turn into like some soft shit or something. Like it got associated with not strength, like, you know, just kind of corny in a way, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make music for, you know, when the revolution pop off, some shit that you could play, you know, to fucking, you know, fortify you, and some going to war music type shit, dead ass.
Right. Yeah, that's how I felt too. I felt like the first album had a dope ass bounce to it, but like the second album, In God We Trust, that's definitely my favorite Brand Nubian album. And I remember the song Allahu Akbar. I played that when my son was a baby. I played Allahu Akbar every day. I would bust my ass working all the time, and then in the morning I would get home from work and I would have to feed him breakfast and be me and him listening to Allahu Akbar every day. He was a baby. He didn't even know what was going on. He used to just get excited and shit. But yeah, I used to love that song.
Yeah,
And Pass the Gat. Love Pass the Gat. Now it's emphatically now cipher to try to take the life of me without a fight. I clean my gun with a Rick Rod. I used to love that song.
That's the perfect song of what I'm talking about. Like, if the revolution popped off tomorrow and all, pass me the gat, I'm gonna fight back. I ain't rolling over on my motherfucking back. Right. You know what I mean? Like, that's a revolutionary resistance type of music. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, clean my gun with a Rick Rod. Here comes the God. Don't eat pig log.
Oh my God, I love that.